first place. And if Kamala Harris, every time they ask her a question, she can't answer basic details about how she wants to govern this country, then how can we ever trust her in a room with Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping? The answer is we can't. So let's send somebody we can trust. Let's send Donald J. Trump back to the White House. Now, I want to talk about, one of the biggest issues I hear from, not just in Pennsylvania, but all across the country, is we hear a lot about people not being able to afford a home. And, I'm the first person of the millennial generation to ever appear on a national ticket. And I know that a lot of folks in my generation, they're frankly very angry at something that they would like to be able to do that their parents' generation could do, but they can't, which is to afford a nice home on a normal job in their own community. And Donald Trump and I want to rebuild that American dream. We want to make it affordable for our young people to buy a home in the nation that their parents and grandparents built. That's a simple thing that we can get back to if we've got better leadership. But the media does this thing where they say, well, there's no connection between the border policies and the housing crisis that we have in our country. And I think any of us with a lick of common sense, we're saying, whoa, wait. Here, explain to me this, Kamala Harris. When you let in 25 million illegal aliens into this country, people who shouldn't be here, we got to house them somewhere. And if you're giving 25 million illegal aliens homes that ought by right go to American citizens, then you are making the American dream of homeownership unaffordable for our people. American homes ought to go to American citizens, and that simple principle is something that Donald Trump and I are going to fight for. But we know, of course, it's not just the price of housing that has been made worse by this terrible border crisis. This is an unbelievable and unspeakable human tragedy that has affected thousands and thousands of residents of this state. And let me just tell you a little story. I was in Georgia campaigning a few weeks ago, and they were showing me all the things. I was with the sheriffs, and they were showing me all the things that they had picked up from the Mexican drug cartels who are trafficking drugs, and frankly also a lot of illegal guns into their communities. One of the biggest drivers of illegal gun crime in this country is the Mexican drug cartels. I didn't know that until recently, but it's true. So I'm talking to these sheriffs, and you've got everything behind me and in front of me and in front of the table. You've got, a library shelves of marijuana. You've got cocaine. You've got meth. You've got pills. You've got, sort of more refined THC, and then you've got fentanyl, of course. And there's one thing that looks really out of place, and I say, well, what is that, Sheriff? And he says, I say, that's candy. That looks like a big box of candy is what it looked like, Nerds candy. And I think there was like a box of Sour Patch candy. And I said, Sheriff, what's going on there? And he said, that's not candy, that's drugs. Because the Mexican drug cartels have figured out that if they disguise this candy disguise these drugs as candy, it's going to make it easier to get into our country and easier to disperse it all over our communities. And every single one of us knows what's going to happen, that a little kid is going to open up a packet of candy on an American playground, and he's going to pay for it with his life. And when we talk about securing the southern border, the Democrats talk a whole big game about compassion. Well, compassion starts for American leaders with American citizens and the safety of their children. Compassion, my friends, compassion starts with securing the southern border and not letting this poison into our communities in the first place. Compassion starts with giving American citizens who are caught up in this terrible problem of addiction the opportunity to have a second chance before they take something laced with fentanyl and it destroys their life. Our message to Kamala Harris is that we want our leaders to be compassionate, and we are a compassionate people. But the American president owes his compassion first and foremost to the American citizens who built this great country, not to people who don't have the legal right to be here in the first place. So we have now 13,000 illegal immigrant murderers in the United States of America. And the media all fact check and say, well, some of them are prison. And my response is, all of them ought to be in prison, or by the way, not in this country to begin with. We've got 16,000 rapists and 425,000 convicted criminals, illegal aliens in the United States of America thanks to Kamala Harris's open border. That is more than twice the size of the United States Marine Corps. Think about that. That is what has been welcomed into this country, not just welcomed, not just encouraged, but rewarded sometimes with benefits that are paid for by American taxpayers. Now, one of the biggest lies of the Kamala Harris campaign is that we want to do, meaning Republicans want to go after Social Security and Medicare. Well, Donald Trump has been the president who has protected Social Security and Medicare, and he's going to do it again. But you know the way to destroy Social Security and Medicare is to give these benefits to illegal aliens. And that is exactly what Kamala Harris is proposing to do. So if you're a senior or you're just a person who thinks that we shouldn't throw our elderly folks into poverty, then join the Trump campaign, send the illegal aliens home before they bankrupt the programs that our people rely on. Now, just a couple more thoughts on this. This is just in Pennsylvania. There are 251,000 illegal aliens in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That's unbelievable. And here's another crazy statistic. 72,000 students in Pennsylvania schools are the children of illegal immigrants in this country. Now, think about this. How can you possibly expect to give Pennsylvania children the education they deserve if 72,000 people in their schools, a lot of them don't even speak the local language? That's going to stress our school system, and we know that it already is. So whether you're a public school teacher, a private school teacher, whether you're a parent of a student or just a person who believes Pennsylvanians deserve a high-quality education, whether they're rich or poor, we have got to get control of this border, and that is exactly what Donald Trump promises to do.